Hey guys, Ron here, and you've been asking for it, so now that every single Pokemon in the Asone Region Pokedex has been revealed, here is a compilation of all of their Pokedex entries, along with stats, abilities, etc. Share this with everyone you know. This is literally a clip show of all the past segments that revealed these Pokemon over the past few years from countless videos. That's why some of these will seem old, both in the Pokemon designs and layouts, because they were made in like 2018 or older, while the new designs I made have way better technique and format. But even the ones I made like last year could have been better. Tomorrow I'm releasing the final video on Asone, detailing the postgame of these fake Pokemon games. That's right, I've said it 100 times, this is just a concept. If you want to see the origins and creation process of these Pokemon, make sure to check out the Asone Region playlist. As you know, there are a bunch of Pokemon that I made that didn't make it into the Asone Region Pokedex, so if you haven't, I'd say you should still check out my Pokemon art playlist. And subscribe for more Pokemon art videos, because I will continue to make new Pokemon. You can skim through this video, or watch the entire hour through. Just let me know what your team through the Asone Region would be, and make sure to check out the plot videos that already came out. Here we go. Here is our first child, Elephant, the moss elephant Pokemon. Elephant are always happy to help. They use the tiny seeds that grow on their back and heads to plant gardens. Their strong memory allows them to remember where any sprout is growing. They can hold up to 4 gallons of water in their trunk and use it to water the plants that they carefully cultivate. They're clumsy but incredibly resilient. It's rare to see an elephant cry for more than a few seconds. Their skin is tough and hard, but their top halves are cushioned with a layer of soft moss and foliage. They're very loving but can get carried away with their affection. And there you have it. Elephant has evolved into Mustain, the overgrowth Pokemon. From trunk, the nose of an elephant, but also the trunk of a tree, and must, the periodic condition in male elephants where they are aggressive and looking for a mate. It's a grass rock type. Mustrunks are overzealous and confident. They will try to plant and water as much vegetation as possible. Due to deforestation, Mustrunk has resolved to plant trees at a faster rate than humans are able to tear them down. It will sometimes plant trees on human property to spite humans who have torn down the trees it has planted. After all, it never forgets those who have harmed it or its sprouts. Mustrunks are able to be trained by those with strong wills. While often aggressive, it will listen to those it trusts. Keep in mind that the plants that Mustrunk cultivates grow faster and taller than plants that it hasn't personally tended to. With its mastery of minerals, it can create new slabs of rock and soil to grow new plants on. It overworks itself, but the closer it gets to its final evolution, the more a wild Mustrunk will realize that its strategy isn't perfect. Those who live with trainers will put all their effort into battling instead, which is a great outlet for their pent-up emotions. But here's the final concept. Precipice, the mountain Pokemon. From precipice, the steep edge of a mountain or cliff, and elephant. I'll show you its stats once I finish reading its entry. Precipice is a rather intelligent being. It has the strength to defend all wildlife that relies on the fruit that grows on it. It uses its dexterous trunk to remove any obstacle, like fallen trees or boulders, but will use it as a means to attack when necessary. This Pokemon utilizes its power and size to intimidate both humans and Pokemon into getting along. It can create hills and mountains at will, which it uses to enforce boundaries between the territories of different Pokemon so conflicts rarely break out. They say that the many mountains that divide the region were made by Precipice to defend against invaders. In its spare time, it finds new seeds to plant on its back. Fruit that grows on Precipice grows extra faster and larger than on any soil on land. Its hidden ability is Harvest, very appropriate, and it's as defensive and physically powerful as you'd think. Its signature move is Overgrowth, a 90 base power physical move that causes the battlefield to become grassy terrain. Here is Smokecalf, the calf Pokemon. Gotta thank Dark and Windy for these names, by the way. Smokecalf is very modest and bashful. It doesn't like sticking out too much, but encouragement from those around it helps build its confidence. It's very sweet, but will use its mastery of fire to great use when necessary. It is very diligent when it comes to practicing with its fire. In fact, its hair and tail light up for a second whenever attacking. It's constantly looked after, and in ancient times they were cultivated to prepare them for proper evolution. Considering Smokecalf were worshipped in ancient times, modern Smokecalf still have a refined taste in food and will roast anything before eating it. And there you go. Smokecalf evolves into the pure fire-type cattle Pokemon, Agnite, from Agni, which is Sanskrit for fire, Ignite, and night, the time of day these Pokemon are brightest, and night with a K, since various societies rely on these Pokemon. Because this Pokemon's evolved form is so crucial to the agriculture of various civilizations, this Pokemon has been spoiled by farmers for centuries. As a result of human worship, this Pokemon has become vain and lazy. It's able to raise the temperature of anything just by looking at it. It does fear accidentally igniting objects with its pyrokinesis though. As a result, it becomes nervous when others are around. Deep down, it still wants to be recognized for its true talents, so it practices pyrokinesis every day. Those trained in battle are more respectful and disciplined. Its fur is fire resistant too. The hair on its head will often combust when it's overcome with emotion. And here it is, Oxinerate, the sacred Pokemon, from Ox, Incinerate, and Venerated. It's greatly respected. It's finally a fairy type. Oxinerate has brought the citizens of this region bountiful harvests for centuries. It is said that it is the reason crops can grow in the many unfortunate environments that this region exhibits. This Pokemon can summon powerful solar energy from the fire on its head in order to bathe crops with enough sunlight during dry and cold seasons. The most loyal and dutiful Oxinerates will stay by crops all night. Farmers always greet these Pokemon with gifts and food. Those in the party of a Pokemon trainer use their energy to fight for honor. They love the limelight and take great joy in doing a good job in any sort of field. This happy aura increases their power, so trainers from around the region know to make sure this Pokemon is always in a good mood. Its hidden ability is Drought, and its signature move is Starfall, a 90 base power special move that creates misty terrain by using its mystical powers to summon solar energy from the sky. Say hello to Dolflo, the wave Pokemon. Dolflo is an extremely social Pokemon. It will use its sonar abilities to find other Pokemon to befriend. It can release powerful waves of both water and sound, and can communicate with its kind over long distances. They're very naive and trusting, but don't be fooled. They're extremely intelligent. While they constantly hope that everyone they meet is as innocent as they are never tricked twice. They are very curious and inquisitive, but that oftentimes gets them into trouble with humans. But regardless, they will always save a human that is in any sort of danger at sea. And there you have it. Dolflo evolves into the water psychic type Mentitle, from Mental and Title. It's known as the Psychic Wave Pokemon. Having learned about all the injustices that its species has endured and the ocean pollution caused by humans, Mentitle has become less trusting. It uses psychic bubbles to collect trash and toss it back onto land. It is very egotistical and cynical. Mentitle will rarely put their faith in others, but as a result, it isn't very disappointed when those around it fail. Mentitles who are under the care of a trainer will revive their trust in humans. They're able to create large waves with their mind and can torpedo through water using telekinesis. They will jump up from the water and stay mid-air to breathe in as much air as possible. The most skilled Mentitle are able to stay hydrated on land by psychically applying moisture to their skin. The purple fins coming out of their tail and blowhole are a mixture of water and psychic energy. Here it is, the Psychic Wave Pokemon, Bellamar, from Cerebellum, a part of the brain, Bellum, which means war, Illuminate, Marine, Mar, which is Spanish for sea, and Sonar. I love how I was able to fit that many origins in one name. You could even say Bella, which means beautiful, is there since its body showcases beautiful patterns and lights. Bellamar is very aggressive, but only fights those it believes are harming its environment and fellow water Pokemon. It creates a bubble fin to constantly stay hydrated on land, and uses its psychic powers to carry itself through any terrain. It can shoot pressurized water mixed with psychic energy so they never miss. The most powerful are able to even read minds, allowing them to know if others are friend or foe. They will use their sonar to coordinate attacks. However, they have never abandoned their heroic hearts and will save innocent souls. They are known to analyze their battlefield to calculate the least amount of collateral damage. Those who have become friends with trainers have revived their faith in humans and will help their environment using more peaceful methods. In ancient times, it was thought that Bellamar were sent to impose the wills of water gods. Their hidden ability is Analytic, giving them the edge over faster targets and trainers who think they're clever for switching in super effective mons when Bellamar is on the field. Their signature move is Mindstorm, a 90 base power move that summons psychic terrain, which is pretty clever because, mind and storm, psychic in water, since its water attacks are mixed with its psychic energy. In fact, here is a neat animation I made of how this Pokemon looks when it's shooting beams of water or psychic energy. This laser is the mandatory weapon all water type starters seem to have, according to fans. Erodent, a normal type. This Pokemon lives underground in highly social societies. They are constantly huddled together and very close with those they love. Not only can they not feel pain, but they're impervious to harsh environments. This makes Erodents very daring and indomitable. It is fearless. Erodent can be found anywhere in Asone. Their eyesight is poor, but their whiskers can sense their surroundings using magnetic waves. They dig large tunnels using their indestructible incisors. Here is Ratdozer, a normal ground type. Ratdozer possesses a protective layer of bone on its face. Not only is it impervious to pain, but now its entire face is indestructible. It creates vast underground societies using its tunneling abilities. The glow-in-the-dark gem on its forehead provides light in the darkest caves and can blind opponents if necessary. They are highly intelligent and each have different roles to fulfill in their colony. Some dig and expand their territory, some create specialized structures, some attack and defend, some take care of the young, and some forage for food and store them in special chambers. Their sensory whiskers gives them accurate measurements of their tunnels and acts as protection in case their tunnels cave in on them. Here's their shiny. They have the abilities Rockhead and Adaptability with the hidden ability Hustle. Lubbird from Landlubber, an inexperienced sailor, and Bird. It is pure flying type. These Pokemon are found all throughout the Asonian coast. They love being near the water but rarely touch it. While inexperienced swimmers, they are skilled at flight from a relatively young age. They instinctively find high perches and with their keen eyes, spot their water-dwelling prey from afar and swoop down in an instant to catch their meal with their long beaks, barely touching the water for more than a second. The closer they are to evolution, the more confident they will become in gradually growing accustomed to the water, as it is their dream to fly over the open ocean. They are hardworking yet fun-loving, patient yet ambitious. They desire a grand life but need a trainer they can trust to pull them out of their monotony and expose them to adventure. Matine from Mate and Matey, part of a ship's crew, and Teenager, a water and flying type. By learning how to swim, this Pokemon was rewarded with unlimited travel. It can fly over large bodies of water and swim with ease. It's extremely confident in its abilities and offers to be the right-hand man of larger bird Pokemon such as its evolved form. A crew of Matine can plunder an entire island and attack an entire school of Magikarp. As a team, they're even known to take on school form Wishiwashi and Gyarados. They'll divide their spoils according to rank. It is believed that these Pokemon are actually quite skilled at mathematics and first aid as well, since they can perform division and tend to the wounds of their comrades. Captorant from Captain and Torrent, a water flying type. It commands a crew of loyal Matine and is the mastermind of their schemes. It leads by example and partakes in the toughest of fights, as its crew plunders. It's able to release powerful jets of salty water at alarming speeds. Their water-based moves sting more than those of other Pokemon. It's always armed and accurate. It stays high in the air as it shoots a barrage of powerful blasts. Captorant is brave, but can often lose sight of its priorities. While it desires treasure, it only goes after those who are more fortunate than it. It does not have the time nor the will to steal from the weak. They're master navigators, and most have been to many corners of the world. And here is Twug from Twig and Bug, a bug type known as the Frail Pokemon. Twug live in a hostile environment. It's almost always surrounded by predators, but can camouflage into the grass and trees. It'll try to stand still, but can't help but shake. Thankfully, this makes it look like a twig dancing in the wind, heightening the illusion. If its camouflage fails, its last resort is to bob from side to side, a feeble attempt at intimidating its enemies. It more successfully scares its enemies with its high-pitched cries. If it's able to successfully poke its foe with its antenna, its confidence will be boosted tremendously. When this Pokemon becomes tired of its anxious life, it will seek to become stronger and begin to train. Twug evolves into Stickid, from Stick, Kid, and Wicked in slang form. It's a bug fighting type known as the counter Pokemon. After beginning to rigorously train, Stickit has successfully made a name for itself. It fights back no matter the strength of its foe. It will never run away from a bully, but will begin to tear up when in a tight spot. It tries its best to fight those tears. It will seek out predators to put them in their place. It loves defending tiny Pokemon even though it's often tinier than the Pokemon it protects. It effectively uses punches and kicks and wears padding as hard as a firm tree. It wraps itself in soft bark to heal its wounds. To surprise enemies, it will quickly eject its underdeveloped wings. Their size and color may not intimidate its foes, but its enemies will be startled for enough time to quickly jab them in a vital spot. Phasmask is here! From the scientific name for stick bugs, Masculine and Mask, the superhero Pokemon. After its foes have grown tougher, this Pokemon has evolved into a powerful warrior that fights for the good of all Pokemon. It'll spring into action whenever it hears a cry using its antennas and can punch its enemies into the horizon. Its bright colors disorient its foes and act as a bright beacon of hope. It can expertly jump, climb, and fly. It uses its wings to intimidate while wearing a permanent smile in order to reassure those it saves. It's very emotional and will cry tears of joy whenever it overcomes huge obstacles. These Pokemon will stand by and support trainers who fully commit to acts of good. A certain other bug-type Pokemon in Asone is their arch-enemy. Behold, Hoppinch, from Grasshopper, pinch as in to steal, and to pinch, as well as the word inch, because it's very small. But not exactly an inch, it's more like 8 inches. A bug dark type known as the Locust Pokemon. Hoppinch travel in swarms and will devour entire fields in minutes. They use their giant mandibles to instantly chop wheat and use their sharp points, feet, and posable wings to slice enemies. Their color usually changes over time to adapt to their environment. Individually, they're still rather powerful. They will jump out and surprise prey, attacking them with one of the many weapons they possess on their body. They obviously have the ability Swarm. They can be found starting from Route 2. They evolve at level 28 into Grassassin, the covert Pokemon. After the enemies it has antagonized grew stronger, it trained in the art of stealth and became a skilled assassin. They work alone to take down enemies 10 times their size. In the past, these Pokemon were sent on missions to secretly take down entire nations. They will hide for an excruciating amount of time, and strike at the right moment using their sharp dagger-like claws. They work best at night, considering their vision is superb in the dark. They can jump 100 feet in any direction, and will thrust their claws into the enemy without any hesitation. They have the ability to fly, but rarely use their flight on mission, as the beating of their wings is extremely noisy. Phasmask are known to occasionally interfere with their missions. Sharpine, the Quill Pokemon, a normal type. These Pokemon will embark on long journeys to forage for berries. It can stiffen its quills and use them to break any obstacle in its path, but first and foremost, these quills protect Sharpine from being ambushed by predators. This allows this Pokemon to be carefree and preserve brain power by not being on constant guard. If its foes come from the front, it will turn around and run away. Its front horns are too dull to land effective blows. It uses them to dig, break branches, and sense its environment. The closer they are to evolution, the more they will begin to sweat toxins. These toxins aren't yet potent, but they emit an odor that disorients foes. Its spines constantly break off and grow back sharper and harder. Crest Toxic, the Poison Quill Pokemon, a normal poison type. Its quills are tipped with a layer of poison. These quills are almost as hard as diamond and can be shot out at will. The harder the quills, the closer they are to evolution. There is no way a foe can attack Crest Toxic without damaging itself. The only place this Pokemon cannot release its venom is from its sharp claws. It uses those to climb and dig. It plants berries by using its plucked quills as tools. This Pokemon shows no mercy in battle. They will clatter their quills together to warn enemies. It will put itself into harm's way by ramming into opponents from any direction. It is rare for wild Crest Toxic to join the party of trainers. Most are trained from their pre-evolved stage. Porkimpale, the Armor Quill Pokemon, a Poison Steel type, a skilled warrior. This Pokemon is covered in indestructible armor made of fused quills. The poison it secretes from its body can destroy the bonds that fuse its quills together, allowing it to instantly detach a quill from its armor and using it as a weapon. Even a tiny slash from its quills will poison its foe, and Porkimpale is a master at hand-to-hand combat and can use its quills as spears and daggers. The curvature of its quills inspired the shape of ancient Asonian sabers. It can fire off its quills like missiles. Porkimpale is actually a rather calm Pokemon. It does not fight with rage, since it's impervious to attacks and knows how to protect its blind spots. Its confidence allows it to make smart decisions in the heat of battles. It will constantly train with its quills. It dexterously twirls its quills around while deep in thought. Gerbolt, the disrupting Pokemon. Its Japanese name is Jeru Boruto. It's electric fighting type. This Pokemon loves to be the center of attention. This leads Gerbolt to put all their efforts into saving others and fighting evildoers. Its drive to be famous makes Gerbolt train to take on stronger foes. It even loves to make grand entrances, sometimes at the expense of those it's trying to save, as it will wait for the most entertaining time to enter. It bounces into the scene with its powerful legs and begins to kick its enemies. It can jump 100 feet in the air and flip a Caparaja onto its side with one kick. Its cape-like fur allows it to control the speed at which it falls, and it can use its prehensile tail as a grappling hook. Its thunderous kicks are no joke. It's been found to team up with Phasmask. Tindril, the tendril Pokemon, from the word tiny and tendril. It's a pure grass type and pure female. Tindril uses its vine to climb plants and swings to maneuver. They're in search for high spots to absorb the sun's rays. Inside them is an unripe fruit with the potential to be sweet or poisonous. It's currently bitter, and Tindril will shoot out bitter juice at its enemies as a deterrent. Their prehensile leaf allows them to grab objects and branches. They are enamored with celebration. They love watching other Pokemon and humans having fun and mimicking festivities with other Tindril by interlocking their vines and dancing in a circle. Vitendril, from Vitis, the genus for grapes, tender, and tendril, a grass and fairy type. Vitendril are very lively and jubilant. They love to facilitate celebrations and will dole out the juice of their fruit to all, in order to energize people and Pokemon. Since the dawn of the Asone region, this Pokemon has helped its citizens cultivate berries for consumption. In battle, it can use its fruit as weapons. It'll hang from trees using its vine ponytail and will throw dense fruit bombs at its opponents that explode and cover its foe in sticky juice. On the ground, it can use its ponytail as an appendage, dishing out spring-like barrages. It'll heal those that learn their lesson. When they hit a certain age, their juice can be used as a numbing agent. Vividus, from Vivid, Vine, Vitis, and Empress. Vividus can now produce intoxicating juices that it disperses in order to disorient and knock out its opponents. It is a natural dancer. It dances to heal, but while fighting it moves with grace. It will extend its vines to maneuver through all dimensions of the battlefield. Its spring-like arms can punch at incredible speeds. It's also impossible to escape the arms of Vividus. If its opponents are not in grabbing range, Vividus will aim for their heads with a Grape Bomb. The older they become, the more beautiful they look. Here's their shiny. They have the ability Leaf Guard and Regenerator with the hidden ability Harvest. It learns the signature move, Grape Acid. It has 100% accuracy, but can either badly poison the opponent or put it to sleep.
And there you have it! Poilover, the poison-loving plover, evolves at level 25 into Involover, the invulnerable plover. Poilover has the immune ability. Poisons don't hurt it, but depending on which berry it holds, it evolves into a different colored Involover based on the effects of the berry it had upon evolution. Orange Involover can't be burnt, blue can't be frozen, yellow can't be paralyzed, purple can't be poisoned, and pink can't be confused.
Meet Voltalope from Volt and Antelope, and even Elope, which can mean to run away, which evolves into Thundorix from Thunder and Oryx. Voltalope is a rare Pokemon to actually get a glimpse of, since it runs away once spotted. It takes a calm and completely benevolent spirit to keep Voltalope from darting into the distance. Even if an enemy were to somehow catch up to it, its fur will instantly shock any predator that pounces onto Voltalope, allowing it to escape. When it evolves into Thundorix, it becomes way more defensive and offensive. In ancient times, these Pokemon were thought to be thunder gods. When spotted, they will command a bolt of lightning to strike the ground, burning up the landscape and creating a barrier between it and its opponent. If this does not deter the enemy, it will charge up its horns and deliver a devastating headbutt. If all else fails, it can instantly escape using its electrically powered legs. Voltalope's abilities are Runaway and Static, but Thundorix's are Lightning Rod and Galvanize, allowing it to turn any normal type move into an electric type one. It has the hidden ability Motor Drive. Let's welcome Asonian Pidove, a grass flying type. A very friendly and serene Pokemon. It's actually slightly more intelligent than its Unovan counterpart, although still naive and extremely trusting. They love journeying throughout Asone looking for those in need. It carries seeds to plant wherever there is famine. It has become a symbol of peace and prosperity. In ancient times, when a Pidove would reappear in a ravaged land, it was an indication of the end of strife. When in battle, it's able to shoot out sharp leaf-like feathers from its wings, although it does prefer to preen its plumage instead of battle. Take a look at the grass-flying Asonian Tranquil. This Pokemon strives for peace and flies long distances to bring peace. It's incredibly full of itself and believes that one sight of its beautiful plumage will end all wars. It eagerly accepts delivery jobs in order to show more people its colorful feathers. Its feathers do bring good luck though, and are used as good luck charms throughout Asone. In battle, it shoots out multicolored leaves from its wings. In ancient times, these leaves would be crushed to make certain dyes. Here is Asonian Unpheasant. It's incredibly proud of its plumage. The color of its feathers seems to change based on the angle, even making the eye patterns on its tail feathers blink, stupefying onlookers and terrifying foes. Males with bigger and more colorful plumage show off their tail feathers to attract mates and intimidate rivals by showcasing their ability to survive in the wild while sticking out. This colorful Pokemon seems to strike a chord with trainers who also seem to stick out in a hostile environment while staying proud. Since Unpheasant's colors are recognizable from afar, they're always on guard. They can shoot out sharp leaves in all directions. Their only blind spot is below when they're not flying. Their leaf feathers are able to absorb the sun's rays, giving them reliable energy. They only act vulnerable when around those they trust. Since ancient times, their eye pattern feathers have been used as luck charms that ward off evil.
This is my little rambunctious child. Because of urbanization and deforestation, Slackoths in this region started lounging on power lines instead of trees. They absorbed the energy from them, slowly building up their tolerance to electricity, and eventually becoming so energized that they began to hunt and fight. Their claws are a very efficient way of both grounding them and tasing their foes. This line is actually the reverse of the normal Slackoth line. They use up so much of their electricity that when they evolve, they need to recharge as Vigoroth before evolving into Slacking and Rampaging again. Now feast your eyes, just don't wake him up. Electric Vigoroth. Because it has used all of its electricity as a Slackoth, it must recharge while preparing for evolution. It is constantly asleep, but still feels what is going on around it using its electrical sense. It will shock you if you approach it. With its control of electricity comes control of the muscles of its body. It has shut off all electrical signals into its muscles, including its eyelids, so they cannot be disturbed. It's preparing for a monumental and legendary awakening. Here's the king, Electric Slacking. After slumbering for its entire Vigoroth stage, it is now more energized than ever, and must unleash all the stored electricity it has amassed by rampaging. While it is in control of its actions, the barrage of electricity driving its muscles makes it harder for Slacking to be precise and nuanced with its actions. After expending all of its electricity, it must rest to regain power again. It has a new ability called Rampage. On the turn that it is mobile, all of its stats are boosted, but then, like Truant, it becomes immobile for a turn, in which all of its stats are lowered.
So here is the Psychic Cat, Filuna. from feline and Luna, and the fairy cat Beneko, from the prefix bene, which indicates good, and neko, Japanese for cat. Filuna are most comfortable alone. They are very intelligent, but as a result, cautious and skeptical. They have the power to control fortune in their favor. It will rarely bond with humans, but when they do, Filuna will give their trainer the best of luck. Passing trainers who look at Filuna the wrong way will have bad luck for 13 days. The white cat, Beneko, is very social and manipulative. It constantly needs attention and will get it by using its cute face to its advantage. They are very egotistical and greedy, but as a result very dependent. It rewards those who pamper it with good fortune, but it will personally sabotage the lives of those it believes to be inferior by playing tricks. Filance, the dark psychic slasher. This Pokemon is on a quest to rid the world of its rivals. Filance sees itself as an avenger and shining knight, when in reality they're very aggressive and merciless. It moves at night and uses its psychic fangs and psycho cuts to defeat its prey. It is very agile and defiant. It doesn't listen to those it doesn't respect and will attack without provocation. Baneko, from Bakeneko and Obake, a changing monster in Japanese, and the English word bad, and even the word bane. This dark fairy monster is very cruel, selfish, and deceiving. It loves toying with its enemies and picking fights. It pulls destructive pranks that have serious consequences, but Baneko doesn't care. It receives joy from any kind of attention, even bad. It relishes in the rivalry it has with Filance, and feels most alive when being chased by its enemies. Asonian Camerupt, a water ground type. It has large reserves of water in its abdomen, and it can shoot them out from the hump on its back. These Pokemon are essential for travel through the deserts of the Zone. This Pokemon willingly hydrates all that are desperate for water. They travel in packs carrying water for communities of Pokemon and humans in need. Some wild and predatory Pokemon even prefer to let it be and just ask them for water instead of attacking them. There is an unspoken understanding between Camerupt and all the living beings of Asone. It does not tolerate those who are impatient or rude to it, and will shoot them with a blast of water from its mouth. It is even able to control the temperature of its water. Hoennian Camerupt descend from Asonian Camerupts, who could release water at blazing temperatures. Behold the psychic Meowth of the Asone region. While less greedy than the average Meowth, these Pokemon are naturally egotistical and self-centered. After centuries of worship, this species sees itself in high regards, but they are highly intelligent. They are aware of their limitations, but never acknowledge them. In ancient times, it is said that the most powerful of Asonian Meowths were able to use telekinesis to create monuments in their own image. It did not take long for humans to create such monuments themselves in order to immortalize their love for these Pokemon. Some say that an ancient civilization that once thrived in Asone owed its wealth and prominence to these Meowths. They would sit beside ancient kings and predict outcomes of political actions and create money. Parafit, from Persian, per and profit. It took me and a friend a half an hour to come up with a name that was half as clever as Berserker. It's a pure psychic type that evolves from Asonian Meowth at level 28. Newly discovered hieroglyphics have led modern archaeologists to believe that Parafit were the puppet masters behind an ancient civilization that once ruled in Asone. These shadow pharaohs would use their telekinesis to construct monuments and tombs. They were worshipped as gods for their ability to create matter. Legendary Parafits were said to be able to create life. They spend every waking moment floating midair, with their manes constantly flowing and their tails ever twirling. This Pokemon is unbelievably wise. It's always smart to follow its orders. Not only will its judgments be supreme, but those who defy them will be destroyed. Okay, so you know how Meowths are seemingly able to produce coins out of nowhere? I turned this type of alchemy into a signature move of Parafit. It's basically Metronome, but for items, called Creation. Parafit uses its matter creation powers to create a randomly generated held item. This item goes away at the end of the battle. It's a fun gimmick move that also ties into how this Pokemon is a direct descendant of Mew. Meet Asonian Mightyena. It is ground dark. While as coordinated in their attacks as Hoennian Mightyena, these Mightyena tend to improvise more and act rougher. They are thought to be the oldest form of Mightyena. They hunt in packs and will use sand attacks to disorient foes and trap them with Sand Tomb. They will hunt anything, but if a trainer proves their superiority, Mightyena will obey their every command. Asonian Mightyena is always covered in a layer of earth that protects it from the desert sun. It camouflages into the dry and desolate surroundings of Asonian deserts. Starting at level 35 when leveled up in a sandstorm, while holding a thick club, Asonian Mightyena evolves into Barbariena. In the harshest of conditions, this Pokemon evolved through ingenuity and desperate hunger. This Pokemon is able to use tools and is constantly in search for the sharpest and sturdiest weapons. It uses the bones of its prey to attack and summon sand-based moves. Their drive to hunt is unrivaled. The alpha of the pack has the longest bone. They will constantly spar with each other to learn how to handle their weapon. If their weapon shatters, they will finish off enemies with their sharp claws covered in hardened earth. The caked mud on its body helps cool it down and gives extra damage protection. Asonian Mightyenas usually get the scraps that Barbariana leave. Therefore, most Asonian Mightyena are malnourished and desire a club of their own in order to evolve and become a top dog. Most wild Barbariana are actually female. And there they are! Habitat from habitat and tot evolves into Strutridge, from strut, ostrich, and ridge, a narrow hilltop, which is what Strutridge's body is supposed to be disguised as. Habitat are born looking like the plants and terrain of their environment. This allows them to camouflage in their surroundings. However, habitats are impatient and restless. They like to play and challenge other Pokemon to races, making them spotted by predators easily. Thankfully, habitats are skilled at kicking sand directly at the eyes of their foes and hastily running away. Some say that these Pokemon invite predators to test their own skills, since habitats are known to taunt their enemies as they run away. Their evolved form Strutridge pompously walks around its territory without a care in the world, seemingly confident in its cloaking abilities. In broad daylight, this Pokemon will stick its head in the ground to fully disguise itself. If it is somehow noticed or attacked, it will kick its enemy with enough force to project even a Hippowdon 50 feet away. Though it cannot fly, it can run and hop at incredible speeds and heights. Their wingspan is unexpectedly large, using them to intimidate their foes if all else fails. Here are their shinies. I love this color scheme. Its signature move, Mud Kick, has 80 base power and a 30% chance of flinching the opponent. Halite evolves into Seepeline at level 23, and then evolves into Thaur when traded. The name Halite comes from halite, also known as rock salt, and light because it's small. Seepeline comes from the sepal of a flower, and saline, a word that indicates a solution is salty, and Thaur comes from thaw and flower. Their ability is Rock Salt, which weakens Ice-type moves. And say hello to Suispan from the scientific family of pigs and the saying Spick and Span, which means clean. It evolves from Mysowine from Mysophobia, Suidae, and Swine. This Pokemon is always born sick, which traumatizes the babe even after the sickness is healed by its mother. Suispan has a nose-like gland that covers its snout and mouth that protects it from and filters out any germs. Its front hooves have a rubber-like texture that deflect any dirt. This Pokemon is obsessed with being clean, but must eventually overcome its fear as a ground type. Trainers will often help it get over its fears by letting it experience the world. When it evolves, it gains the poison typing and is immune to almost all types of sicknesses. It has conquered its fears and is ready to experience life. It loves the feeling of mud since it regulates its body temperature, but it may have become a little too reckless and carefree, as it is known to track mud everywhere and leave prints. While it can't get sick, it is very dangerous to touch, since its activities attract a slew of diseases on the surface of its skin. Here are their shinies. And there you go! When given a Psychic Stone, Girafarig evolves into Girafarin, from Giraffe and Kirin. It is a dragon psychic type. When psychic energy made its tail start to become more intelligent and controlling, the front half of Girafarig was forced to grow as well, in order to stay in control. It is now more destructive and powerful. It rules its tail half by intimidation and fear. The tail is rather intelligent now and knows to follow its front half. But now that the tail exhausts more energy, this Pokemon must constantly eat. The front head will eat all the leaves at the top of a tree, while the bottom will eat from the lower branches. It can eat an entire forest in 1 week, but is intelligent enough to farm. It will use telekinesis to plant seeds to replenish its food supply. And here it is! The Flying Dark type Plumace, from Plumage, Grimace, which is a twisted facial expression, and Ace. Its ability is Intimidate, cause look at this thing. And there they are. Sparkter, the Sparky Spectre, evolves into the terrifying Jolterror at level 38. They either have the ability Static or Levitate. They move around super fast in a creepy electrified fashion because that's really what inspired this Pokemon. Terrafract, from Terror, Refract, and Fractal, evolves into Terraflect at level 38. They're the ghost dark types known as the Reflection Pokemon. The pre-evolved form hides inside mirrors and other reflective objects. It comes out to play whenever a child says its name 3 times. It's mischievous and likes to startle adults, but is super playful and empathetic to innocent children. When it evolves, Terraflect begins to terrorize citizens around the region. It can even enter and exit reflections in a blink of an eye. It can inhabit any reflective surface, even those on or inside a body. Some are even powerful enough to enter the reflection of a Pokemon's eye in the midst of a battle. Their bodies are constantly glitching out, as if they're being pulled back into a parallel dimension. They're also one of the fastest Pokemon in existence. Neat shiny, for centuries it has been said that these Pokemon are from the 2nd dimension and are driven wild by the 3rd dimension. New studies, however, have shown that they are beings of mostly light particles and are actually native to our dimension. They seek material objects to inhabit since their DNA is very unstable. There you go. The Bug Electric type,
Glottal evolves into Luminsect at level 27. They come in the usual winter-like colors. It's only superficial though. They either have Volt Absorb or Illuminate with the hidden ability Strobe Light, which gives electric-type moves an added 20% chance of confusing the target, alongside any other effects the move has.
Say hello to Possessed, the Possessing Pest. This tiny Pokemon is very clingy. It'll latch on to those it seems fond of, and slowly suck their blood. It floats around looking for life energy. It favors the blood of the most energetic of creatures. Their skin is translucent, making them disappear when empty, and fully visible when full and content. Here is Vermint, from Vermin and Dormant. The soul data of the blood it has sucked has accumulated into a ball of physical energy. In order to contain and store the energy it needs to evolve, it stays motionless and slowly floats in the air. It does not like to be bothered. They are completely full and don't need to eat until they fully evolve. The Ghost Flea Pokemon, Awfully. This Pokemon jumps around from host to host, collecting soul energy. It stores the accumulated soul energy in its abdomen and ejects new possesseds once it's full. Awfully are very mischievous. They are able to phase through objects to get inside houses. However, they do not favor clean and sanitized locations. They can jump 50 times their size in a flash and continue floating upwards until they hit the stratosphere. In ancient times, these Pokemon were responsible for plagues, but with the advent of Pokemon training, they are able to be easily disposed of when met with a Pokemon battle. They'd rather hop away than fight. In battle, they project spirit energy from their behind. And there you have it, the fast but frail Torpices evolves into Dunkcraft at level 30. Torpices love to be launched from the holes on Dunkcraft's fins. Their aerodynamic heads allow them to be launched at top speeds, but their armor isn't fully formed yet, so they usually self-destruct upon impact. The closer they are to evolution, the harder their warhead becomes. They aren't the best at changing directions while swimming. Their evolved form, Dunkcraft, is one of the most resilient Pokemon in the sea. They slowly swim through deep water. Not only is Dunkcraft a hunting machine, but it can also outlast any sea Pokemon in battle. When it isn't housing Torpices in its fins, it lets out jets of water from its fins in order to speed up or change directions. It can penetrate the hull of a vessel without much force. In ancient times, this Pokemon reigned supreme. Not even a Sharpedo can breach its defenses. Now it has competition from the likes of Gyarados and Wishiwashi. And there you have them, fully colored. The tiny Stagmite from Stalagmite and Stagnant evolves into Actite from Stalactite and Active. Stagmites are covered in mineral deposits that drip onto its body from cave ceilings. This offers them protection and camouflage, but makes it hard to fly. They're unable to fly high, so they tend to stay on the ground all day, disguised as stalagmites to hide from predators. At night, they search for fruits. They have relatively good eyesight and smell to compensate for their lack of echolocation abilities. When they sense a predator, they immediately drop to the ground and pretend to be rocks. Stagmites evolve into Actite. This Pokemon has become big and strong as a result of constantly utilizing its heavy wings. Instead of hanging from cave ceilings upside down, it hangs using its sharp claws. As it looks down, if a strong enemy intrudes into its habitat, it'll drop down, spike first on top of its trespassers. It will not harm those it believes are weaker than it though, and will help feed Stagmites who are not yet strong enough to fly. It's not the fastest flyer, but it's incredibly adept at climbing in combat. And there you go, Ice Furret from the Asone region. This Pokemon burrows into thick snow and creates holes that only it can enter with its slender body. Its white coat allows it to camouflage in cold weather, and its thick layer of fur keeps it warm in the lowest of temperatures. As a result of living in high mountains with less amount of oxygen, these furs have more stamina. Its abilities are the same, but the stats are a bit different. Here's the shiny, and here they are. Asonian Furret evolves into Barrett when leveled up in hail. From ferret, burr, because it's cold, but also because it sounds like beret, and this Pokemon has a little hat. The hat on Barrett actually protects its head from intense hail. Its hat and scarf also work like antennae. It's able to sense changes in temperature miles away. This allows it to anticipate snowstorms, hot weather, and even incoming fire-type moves. Its thick coat is extremely dynamic. It's relatively hydrophobic, so melted snow doesn't soak it, and it's able to easily slide through sheets of snow. It's able to swim through snow and even collapse the tunnels it creates with its tail, as to not leave a trail leading to its hiding spot. It stores food in its scarf, and is able to preserve its favorite meals for years by instantly freezing them. Other Pokemon, and even collectors, envy its extreme length. When stretched, the average Barrett is 10 feet tall, or 3 meters. It uses its height to intimidate the fiercest of opponents. It can even use its body like a spring. Jumping 100 feet into the air is not an uncommon ability among Barrett. And here's my guy. Carbink, when leveled up while knowing Play Rough, evolves into Carbonk, from Carbuncle, Carbon, and Bonk. It just felt right, not gonna lie. Carbonk defends its fellow Carbink and their queen. The diamonds at the end of their arms are unbreakable and can be used to dig, block, and attack. The most vicious of Carbonk will sharpen their diamonds and pierce their enemies repeatedly, but the average Carbonk prefers to, well, bonk their enemies on the head with a single devastating blow. If their queen is completely safe, these Pokemon are happy and carefree, but when their colony is somehow in danger, they will efficiently fight until the threat is neutralized. Its ability is either Clear Body or Sturdy, but its hidden ability is Diamond Fist, which powers up punching moves. Its new signature move is Diamond Punch, a rock-type move with 75 base power and 100% accuracy. It has a 30% chance of critical hit too. And here it is, Asonian Azumarill, a fire rock type. It is believed that the Azumarill in Asone evolved after countless generations adapted to the harsh environment of a nearby volcano. Their skins dried out and hardened to create a protective shell, and their blood now boils. They are hot to the touch and more aggressive than the average Azumarill. These Pokemon are believed to have no nerves and therefore feel no pain. They use their dense tails to break rocks and create winding paths within volcanoes. Once a year, they will grow a new magma shell. They do so by cooling the lava on their body with their still intact water sac. Therefore, this Pokemon can still use a few water-type moves like Scald. It's slightly more defensive than Water Azumarill, but has a completely different move pool. Say hi to Zapuni, the charged Pokemon. Zapuni is unable to hold on to the electricity stored in its body for too long. This is why Zapuni is always found grabbing onto something, slowly releasing its electricity. When threatened, it releases all of its energy in one big zap. It does this by either jumping onto its opponent and shocking them, or jumping up above its foe and releasing a bolt of electricity. In the wild, it can be found on the backs of its parents, giving them more energy to search for food. And Zapuni are incredibly shy, and will look down when stared at. They are physically slow, and it takes them a long time to make small movements, but using their electricity, they can hastily bounce around from place to place. Activolt, the Overload Pokemon, an electric fire type. It evolved from Zapuni at level 22. Activolt have learned to efficiently output their excess electricity by constantly moving their body. Sometimes they output so much electricity that they catch on fire. They release this fire from special ports on their armpits. They can even bite opponents with a mixture of fire and electricity. When they sleep, electricity builds up in their body until they naturally wake up when their armpits start to smoke. They can jump exceedingly high by letting out a jet of fire from their armpits. It's a cause of forest fires in Asone. They release energy faster than they can process their actions. They're physically unable to concentrate for too long because the energy inside them will begin to surge. Scientists believe that when this Pokemon learns how to route excess energy into its brain, it's a sign that this Pokemon is close to evolution. Lorisurge, the Overload Pokemon. It evolves from Activolt at level 38. Lorisurge is able to control the maximum output of energy to every part of its body. It can even route extra processing power to its brain, allowing it to think as quickly as it acts. The fur on its face is constantly on fire. Its head attracts electricity, allowing it to collect more energy. It searches for high-calorie meals. Its favorite fruits are the sweetest berries it can find. It converts the food it consumes into heat. It can break boulders by amplifying the strength of its arms, and they are extremely flexible. They will communicate with each other by leaving charred marks around their habitats. They have the ability to see heat, allowing them to see at night and over long distances. They're very proud Pokemon that will never show any weakness or inferiority. They have a signature move called Burning Thunder, a 90 base power special move with a 10% chance of burning the opponent. Here is Virus Rotom, a poison ghost type. This strain of Rotom is able to possess the body of people and Pokemon. It infects beings and then uses its round-tipped spikes to fight off the body's natural defenses. It has a limit though, since when all of its spikes have been defeated, it ejects out its vessel's body. Once a Rotom has possessed a body, it cannot possess the same body again. It has been found that this Rotom uses its vessel to create more normal Rotom by harnessing the electrical impulses of the vessel's body, consuming and then releasing these electrical impulses in accumulated balls. The electric-type Rotom then becomes Rotom viruses when they glitch out while phasing out of a device. All of the electricity within that Rotom is left within the device, and the Rotom can no longer inhabit electronic devices. Here's the shiny. It's less bulky but faster than Rotom's forms. It has the levitate ability since it can be airborne, but it does have a new signature move called Infection. This low priority move allows Rotom to possess its opponents until the opponent uses a damaging move. During this state, it cannot be hit, and all its moves become critical hits, but the move that ejects it out of the opponent's body is also a critical hit on Rotom. And here she is, Asonian Spinda, a psychic type. Asonian Spinda's patterns are constantly shifting, so it never looks the same as it does minutes ago. Rather than Spinda's movements confusing its opponents, its moving patterns are what disorients its foes. Not only is Asonian Spinda able to walk in straight lines, but it's also able to concentrate for a long time. It is said that Spindas see visions in each other's patterns. They're unfazed by the ash and smoke in the atmosphere of their habitats. In fact, the volcanic fumes makes them smarter. The hotter their environment, the faster their patterns move, and the more they think. It's believed that the Spinda evolved to benefit from their volcanic environment. They're actually hot to the touch. Their color is able to display their emotions too. Warmer colors mean passion, curiosity, and vitality, while cooler colors mean lethargy, sadness, and distaste. Their neutral state is purple. Here's its shiny. Its stats are slightly different. It has the ability's own tempo and a new ability called Boiling Blood, which boosts Spinda's special attack when hit by a fire-type move. This also makes it immune to fire. Its hidden ability is contrary. Swirlava, the Twister Pokemon, a fire and psychic type. It evolves from Asonian Spinda at level 37. When Spinda's boiling blood becomes too much for its body to contain, it bursts out in a vortex of psychic energy. Swirlava's gelatinous body is incredibly hot and constantly spinning. Not only are its patterns perpetually changing, but its form is completely fluid. It is able to control the speed of its rotation, unleashing devastating storms of lava. The faster it spins, the hotter it gets. It can telekinetically control its lava plumes. Its body stiffens if it slows down its vortex for too long. It is able to confuse and hypnotize its foes by spinning and changing its patterns. Corporations use this Pokemon's nearly perpetual motion to produce energy for Asone. It can stretch its body to increase in height and width. It will consume all in its path if left unchecked.
It's pretty straightforward.
I understand. So what does it use its top thing for? What does it use?
To attack.
Oh right, that's what you guys do.
That's what we do in these games.
You capture them and you force them.
Here is Asonian Luxio, an ice and fairy type. It can crystallize the air around it and form sharp ice claws to slash its enemies. While it can't sense the aura within others like Asonian Luxray, it can control the aura that emanates from it and will rest its body and others to communicate with rhythmic pulses of aura from its whiskers. Their ears can pick up the signals of other Luxio, allowing them to aid those who have split from the pack. Luxio join their tails together to create large snowstorms that prevent others from entering their territories, and blind their prey.
And there you have it, Ice Fairy Luxray. It's said that this is the original Luxray, but they can only be found deep in the mountains and come out to hunt during the thickest of snowstorms. Only they can see through the endless white, using their eyes to sense the soul of any living being. When they locate their prey, they'll freeze them solid. While ruthless, some Luxrays will show compassion to those trapped in snowstorms, perhaps because they can tell whether a soul will harm them or not. They are great judges of character.
And here is Cafrost, the insulated Pokemon. I know I spelled insulated wrong, by the way. Cafrost travel in herds. They cover their colorful spots in snow when traveling, as to not be detected by prey. But once they camp for the day, they immediately shake off the snow and begin their festivities. They're very proud of their hides. The more colorful and intricate their patterns, the more popular they become. Every night they gather to eat and play games. This makes them oblivious to the sub-zero temperatures they live in. Their heads are covered in rock-hard ice. They use this as protection and as a means of attack. Using their glacial abilities, they can sharpen and harden their ice caps and even elongate them into sharp ice swords. Their fur is dense and soft. It traps in so much heat that no temperature in Asone is too low for them. Their perpetually frozen caps keep them cool when temperatures are above average. They are exceptionally friendly and love to travel alongside humans. Cryovabos, the insulated Pokemon. These Pokemon release cold air from their bodies to attract mates and find lost members of the herd. Their frozen horns and hump are used to battle. No predator can bite through its multi-layer hide. Humans have been using this Pokemon's fur for millennia. They shear the outer layer and it grows back within 24 hours. The males will defend the herd while the females feed the young. The milk of Cryovabos is miraculously sterile. It has been feeding humanity since northern Asone was first settled. Since ancient times, northern Asone's culture was centered around this Pokemon. They emulated this family in the food that they ate and the clothes that they dressed in.
And here is my big boy. It's 123 feet long and lives in oceans of sand. It won't live in any old desert, it has to be secluded. Millions of years ago, some whale lords developed horn tusks that they would use to drill. Just like how the real-world Sahara Desert used to be a very tropical, fertile place and was even once a sea before the continents shifted, the habitat of whale lords slowly dried out and they evolved with it, becoming land whale lords that drilled into the sand to find nutrition. They actually tilled the untapped soil and helped bring nutritious earth and even water back up to the surface. They're responsible for the creation of a bunch of oases. Their blue eyes are a little Easter egg for the Dune fans.
Shakastle. It evolves from Shuckle when given a special drink only found in the Asone region. This Pokemon is now completely fortified and can shoot various liquids from its cannons. Depending on the berries given to it, the acidity of juice it shoots differs. It could rapidly shoot or let out one big blast. It is highly accurate, precise, and long-ranged. Its limbs are constantly protected. In order to move, it uses hydraulics by blasting the liquid out of its bottom blasters. As a finishing move, it will rapidly spin while shooting in all directions. It will only let its trusted trainer pet its head. Here's the shiny. Its ability is either bulletproof or a new ability called Artillery that boosts the power of ball and bomb moves. And here he is, the jovial Pokemon Cloud9, from Clown, K9, and the term Cloud9, considering this Pokemon is almost always happy and carefree. It is said that Cloud9 travel around the region, especially to places that desperately need cheering up, and performs stupefying acts of magic. It can conjure illusions from its fire. Those that it likes will see wonderment in the fires this Pokemon conjures, while those it dislikes will see terrifying illusions. It is known to have disdain for authority and often gets itself into trouble. It uses sparks and embers as distractions and attacks when fleeing authority. Children around the region love Cloud9. This Pokemon sees itself as a hero who uses humor to free his admirers from their depression. It is constantly on the move and very clever. That's right, this fire psychic Pokemon is in the same evolutionary family as Delphox, Zoroark, and a distant cousin of Lucario, Petroluth, the purifying Pokemon from Petroleum, and Luth, a nickname for leatherback turtles. A water poison type Pokemon. This Pokemon snacks on all things poisonous. It will take in big gulps of water, eat the pollutants, and release pure water from the vents on its back. They're relatively hollow and their body is completely covered in leathery skin. It's very well padded with blubber. It can survive in all aquatic environments. The population of Petroluth have increased dramatically since humans began to industrialize. Over the span of a generation, the waters in which Petroluth live will go from polluted to pure and teeming with life. A herd of Petroluth will migrate to dirtier waters once they've consumed all of its pollution. Putridome, the purifying Pokemon. These friendly Pokemon are trained to live around oil rigs and consume the oil that accidentally spills. Putridome receives a steady supply of food and prevents other aquatic Pokemon from polluted water. The colors on Putridome are iridescent and will change color when looked at from different angles. This confuses predators, and their body is covered in a layer of hydrophobic substances that allow it to easily glide through the water. All of its byproducts are environmentally safe. It can release pressure jets from its back and strong poisons from its mouth. It will offer rides to humans. In the Asone region, it's taboo to harm Putridome. In ancient times, they were seen as dirty pests, but in modern Asone, they're worshipped. They have the abilities Water Absorb and the new ability called Distillation, which gives them a boost in their water-type moves when hit with poison or ground-type moves. They basically convert the dirt or toxins into water. Madama, from Madam and Ma, the jaws or throat of a beast. It's the fairy poison type known as the Split Pokemon. This Pokemon is actually two linked sisters that care deeply for one another. One side prefers solitude, is very distrustful and protective of its sister. It produces a harmful poison and will bite those that will hurt its sister. The other side is very compassionate, social, and trustful. It produces a healing nectar that is indistinguishable to its other half's poison. So it's wise to only accept a drink from this Pokemon if you've witnessed the compassionate sister produce it. The healing sister's nectar is the only antidote for the other sister's poison. If both sides come to an agreement, they will teach a trusted human in the ways of medicine and healing. Manama have passed down the knowledge of potions since ancient times. It is said that potions that heal Pokemon HPs were first created with Madama's healing nectar. They have kept themselves hidden in the caves of Asone, so they're not forced to aid in the conquest of evil men.
And here he is, Clawstrap, the trapdoor Pokemon. It camouflages itself in the wild and places berries right in front of its face to lure in prey. When an unsuspecting Pokemon comes for a snack, it will quickly shut its front legs and trap them. There is no escape. Some smarter Pokemon who can tell that the berries are a trap will still try to swipe the berries, assuming that Clawstrap's eyes are shut, but the tiny second pair of eyes are still watching and vigilant. It's a bug steel type, with amazing defenses and a good attack stat. It has the ability Arena Trap and Compound Eyes with the hidden ability Swarm. Perhaps there are more versions of this Pokemon based on the environment it lives in. I don't know, but here's the shiny. It'll definitely help during the fall. I love shinies that turn foliage into fall leaves, but again remember that these are not leaves, it's just fur that acts as camouflage. Its arms are as hard as steel, its exoskeleton is super tough, and not to mention it's a pretty big bug. Its walls are 6 feet tall. And there they are. Both forms of Menhis, from Menace and Hiss. The tropical form is a lively and dominating dragon grass type. It goes around eating a ton of fruit each day. It's a stingy herbivore that scares away any competition by shaking its tail, which makes a hissing sound from its leaves. Its ability is simply Intimidate with the soundproof hidden ability. Its stats are honestly relatively balanced since it's big and strong, very mobile, and it's super spiky for extra defense. Its deciduous form, on the other hand, is almost falling apart. It's a ghost grass type, and while it basically sits still all day waiting for prey to come to it so it can hypnotize them and steal their spirit for sustenance, it's actually surprisingly fast and will burst out with sudden speed to escape or attack. It is hollow after all. Unlike its other form, it's usually super quiet, and when it does make a sound, it's usually a traditionally creepy and scary noise like the crackling of its bark or a very hollow sounding hiss. Definitely a Pokemon to look out for when walking through a forest in the winter.
And there you go, Kecleon evolves into the normal Psychic type, Psycholion, when leveling up after learning the new move, Strobe Surge, a Psychic type move where it rapidly changes color and releases a beam of light with the chance of confusing the opponent. It has 60 base power and is always stab. The name Psycholion comes from psychic and psychedelic and psychopath. Like Kecleon, this Pokemon changes its colors to hide in its surrounding in order to catch prey. If the prey seemingly catches onto its disguise, it will appear out of hiding and flash its alternating colors, stunning its prey, allowing it to finish it off with its long tongue. The horns on its head release colorful beams of light that can overwhelm opponents and even change the color of whatever it hits. It can see in all directions, so it's constantly looking for others to attack. It likes toying with people by surprising them or making their objects float as if they're possessed. They are able to change into the ideal type of their surroundings in order to regulate their body temperature. Here's its shiny. I honestly prefer its shiny, but the normal color scheme makes more sense. Its ability is a new version of Protean called Pigmentation, with the hidden ability Mimicry. Salumin, a fire and dragon type Pokemon known as the Spine Pokemon. It is revived from the Sunset fossil. It is believed that this Pokemon once roamed the desert 100 million years ago, absorbing sunlight with its tail. It would unleash the heat from its spine and burn prey within a 50-foot radius. This allowed it to easily hunt and consume in a carefree manner. The crystal-like bones that protrude out of Salumin are the hottest part of its spikes. It's able to shoot out precise beams of energy from these spikes. Radiate, from vertebrae and radiate. When Salumin hits level 40 and is brought to a specific scientist later in the game, they're able to be reconstructed and evolve into a more accurate evolved form, based on new data that the scientist has accumulated. It is now believed that this form is a more accurate reconstruction of how this Pokemon existed in ancient times. It lived in a more lush and wet environment when the Asonian Desert was once covered in water. It would sit in rivers with only its spine elevated above the water and unleash powerful radiation from its spine, instantly boiling the water and cooking its aquatic prey. Its meal would conveniently rise up to the surface, and Radiate would happily eat it. Pokemon would mistake a partially submerged Radiate for a distant sunset over the horizon. It would actually release heat from its tail, allowing it to slightly propel itself through the water. Basilapis, a water dragon type Pokemon, known as the Aquasnake Pokemon. It is revived from the Moonrise fossil. It is believed to have dominated the ocean 40 million years ago. It is a land Pokemon that has adapted to the sea. It's thought to have spent most of its time in shallow water and would ambush land Pokemon that waded in the water. This reptilian Pokemon has strong jaws that it can both unhinge and snap shut, allowing it to take down Pokemon triple their size. They're very positive and enjoy slithering in mud, but must return to the water or else they will dry up. They don't swim too deep because they need the sunlight to regulate their body temperature. Drownormus, a water dark type known as the Long Whale Pokemon. When Basilapis is level 40 and brought to a specific scientist later in the game, they're able to be restructured and evolve into their more accurate evolved form. It's now understood that Drownormus was actually a mammal, and early relative of Wailord. It would pull down aquatic Pokemon into the darkest depths of the ocean and return for a breath of air once it has conquered its prey. Their flippers are very muscular and their bodies incredibly long. Drownormus are rather intelligent and have varied personalities that range from anti-heroic to especially cruel. No Pokemon can escape its clutches. Their hind legs have evolved into spikes, and they can see far into even the darkest of water. Paraterra, from Paraceratherium, and Terra, the hornless Pokemon, revived from the fossilized Rhino, a normal and ground type. This giant Pokemon was the largest quadruped in Pokemon history. They would roam in groups searching for fresh vegetation. They have tough earth hides that protect them from heat and impact. When threatened, they charge and headbutt their opponents. Their skull is heavily reinforced, and may be the reason they were so well preserved. They are ancestors of Rhydon, and the lump of hard earth they have on their snout is thought to have evolved into Rhydon's horn. The stomping of their dense legs causes the earth to shake. They're quite tranquil and will only attack those who persist. If a small Pokemon annoys them, they will just shake their bodies or turn the other way. And what do you know, Druddigon, when traded holding a stone skull, evolves into Dredigan. These Pokemon were hunted in ancient times to the point of extinction. Only by wearing the skull of its ancestor will a Druddigon evolve into the terrifying Dredigan. Their entire body, other than their underbelly, is covered in rugged and jagged rocks. While it can defeat its prey in a number of ways, with every single appendage, it prefers to finish off its opponents with its sharp tail. This Pokemon can fly to an extent. It prefers to make giant leaps. It hoards treasure in the vast mazes it creates in the caves of mountains. It will taunt those brave enough to enter its domain because it loves to battle. It'll lure in enemies into its inescapable labyrinths and camouflage into the rocks and shadows of its abode. Here is Alluvion, the deposit Pokemon, named after the deposit of clay, dirt, and sand that collects at the delta of rivers like the Nile, which makes the land around them fertile. Eevee evolves into Alluvion when leveled up while holding special soft sand in the deserts of Asone. Alluvion's cellular structure is similar to sand. It can divide itself into grains of sand and disappear into the desert sky. It uses this as a form of travel, floating in the wind, to hide while hunting for prey, and to flee from danger. The sand from Alluvion's body has collected throughout Asone, making some locations very fertile. In ancient times, it was worshipped as a fertility god. Alluvion is very quiet and subtle in its movements. It's a very proficient hunter. It can easily hide and has an amazing sense of hearing. Alluvion can control the sand and dirt around it. It can create an armor coating of stiff sand that protects its body, and even increase the density of its limbs, giving it the ability to land harsh blows. Its eyes are covered in special film that prevents sand from damaging its eyes. Its night vision is superb. Out Drakeon, the draconic Pokemon. It evolves when leveling up while holding a dragon scale, where the east meets the west in Asone, right here on the map. Every settlement in Asone has a different perception of Drakeon. Some villages find it beautiful, some find it to be a grotesque mutation of the pure Eevee, some find it benevolent, able to cure ailments and grant wishes, while some believe it is destructive and greedy. It's true that Drakeon are very fickle. They are very intelligent and each has a drastically different personality. They can master all natural elements and inhabit all sorts of locations. They're very possessive and will guard any object or person they deem precious. Their horns have been a key ingredient in Asonian medicines for millennia. Drakeon are able to live incredibly long lives, longer than any evolution. It is said that the Asonian lords who love these Eevees would evolve them into Drakeon so that they can be with them for the rest of their lives. Unfortunately, that meant that these Drakeon would outlive their trainers by many years. They have the ability Levitate and the hidden ability Natural Cure. Behold Metallion, the armor Pokemon. Evolves from Eevee when defeating 3 consecutive Pokemon and holding ancient armor. Metallion have been used in battle since ancient times. In the heat of war, soldiers would desperately evolve their Eevees into Metallion to help in combat, but would ultimately refrain from using their beloved Eevee in actual war. These battle-ready Pokemon would instead be used in competitive Pokemon battles during peacetime to utilize their battle spirit. Only the strongest of Eevees can inherit ancient armor and evolve into Metallion. This gave them the defense they needed to fully utilize their abilities without guarding themselves. No sword can cut through Metallion's armor. They use their horn to pierce the armor of their enemies and brandish their tail to cut any foe that decides to attack from behind. They're quite flexible but not too fast on account of their weight. They're brave, courageous, and valiant. They crave action and love to save others, but this makes them impatient and bored easily when not active or not in the spotlight. Beware Spectrion, the Spectre Pokemon. It evolves from an Eevee whose happiness is maxed out when fainting in this forest in Asone. When a truly happy Eevee has a near-death experience, it's given spiritual abilities from the ghosts of Pokemon who fell in ancient Asonian wars. Its love for its trainer returns it to the land of the living with the ability to evaporate. It can become intangible, walk through walls, disappear, and fly. It's much more unique than the other evolutions. Spectrion can talk to spirits and summon powers from the land of the dead. It can see the soul of all living beings, and is happy to know that its trainer's soul is pure. Wild Spectrion are formerly trained Spectrion whose trainers have passed. They roam Asone, helping spirits move on to the afterlife. When they find a new trainer with a pure soul, they will secretly follow them. They can possess the bodies of others for a few minutes. Spectrion will only use this ability as a last resort. Let's talk about Infantrek. From Infantry, Infant, Information, Trek, and Record. Infantrek is agile and able to cross territories undetected. This tiny Pokemon stores toxic gas inside its body. The gas can be manipulated by its higher-ranking evolved forms to cause chemical burns on its scales that create marks. These dots and dashes are actually messages. Its superiors will send Infantrek on long journeys to communicate plans between their kind. When this Pokemon is done with its mission, it sheds its skin and therefore the marks that are on it. discarding the secret messages and allowing for new messages to be created. If in trouble during their mission, Infantrek will spit out all the toxic gas it has stored and quickly run away as its enemy is temporarily immobilized by the strong nerve agent. At level 30, Infantrek evolves into Cap Toxic, the Toxic Captain. Cap Toxic set out on missions with other comrades and a group of Infantrek that they can command. They are way more vicious and prioritize the success of missions over the well-being of its lower-ranking inferiors. The gas in its body has built up to the point where the dots and dashes it once had have raised above its skin. These hard bubbles are used for padded protection. If it has taken too much of a beating, these bubbles burst and release toxic gas, allowing it to gain the advantage in battle. It stores a particularly lethal dose of venom in its mouth and hands. It uses its toxic claws and tongue to inject harmful toxin. Here is our fully evolved pseudo-legendary Pokemon, Virulurk, from Virulent and Lurk. Its translucent skin reveals the toxic chemicals that this Pokemon is mostly comprised of. It is able to withstand the most deadly substances on Earth. Its neck is swollen with gas. Once this Pokemon slightly opens its mouth, it releases toxins that can knock out an entire village. The chambers on its cheeks help filter different kinds of gas for different purposes, even oxygen and hydrogen. In some locations, it's illegal to train one without a license. Presenting the Forbidden Knowledge Pokemon, Azarera, from Azazel, Azar, Hebrew for help, Warera, which means us in Japanese, as in this Pokemon helped us, and finally Era, since it ushered in the modern era of humanity. It is Psychic Steel. This Pokemon was worshipped by men in ancient times, as it came down from heavens to teach man how to forge tools necessary to live in the dangerous world of Pokemon. It has the ability to conjure minerals and construct anachronistic devices. In ancient times, humans would present it with materials, and Azarera would use its telekinesis to instantly combine parts into a working machine. Some say that it was the wisest Pokemon on Arceus' council and spent millennia learning all there is to know about the world. Some scholars believe that it came down to Earth because it pitied humans and wanted to share the knowledge it had accrued. Others believe it hated Arceus' creations and wanted Pokemon to be subjugated by the most intelligent species on the planet. Either way, the gradual development of humans brought them into conflict with Pokemon and eventually led to an ancient war that thankfully ended in permanent peace and understanding between human and Pokemon. Since then, this Pokemon was blamed for the escalation in conflict. Some say Pokemon like Alakazam are descendants of this Pokemon. It has the ability Forge, which allows it to recreate any held item it used up in battle, like Harvest but for any item. Here is the hidden technique Pokemon, Shemorera, from Samyaza's Hebrew name Shemhazai, Shamar, Hebrew for kept or guarded, and Sorera, Japanese for them or those, as in it guarded them, the Pokemon. It's Fighting Ghost. This Pokemon appeared in ancient times and taught Pokemon how to utilize their elemental powers in the most effective ways. It became a leader of Pokemon as they became more powerful. It has no nerves and therefore feels no pain. It is the ultimate soldier and sparring partner. It will go into battle without any doubts. It is said that it was once Arceus' personal warrior. It learned every technique imaginable. Some say it was also a disciple of Giratina, who imprinted its violent disposition onto Shemorera. Some scholars believe it pitied Pokemon and wanted them to rise to their full potential, while others say it wanted Pokemon to gain enough power to eventually rebel against humans. Nobody knows if it instigated or regretted the ancient war between humans and Pokemon. The deceased Pokemon that fought alongside it in the war became its Marshadow minions, and its descendants became what is known to be Machamp. Side note, it's kind of the reason Machamp has a beak. Some ancient religions even worshipped this Pokemon as it taught Pokemon techniques that their humans could utilize to benefit humanity as well. Its ability is Technique, which not only boosts the power of not very effective moves like Tinted Lens does, but also boosts the power of neutral moves. It's a devastating Pokemon. And here he is, the emissary Pokemon, Emissaroth. It is Fairy Dark. It's the direct messenger of Arceus. Scholars believe that it has no will of its own. It only does what Arceus tells it to. It will take all of its commands literally and won't doubt their importance. It has no remorse, and it is debatable whether or not it has compassion. In ancient times, it was sent to deal with the outcome of Shemorera and Azarera's exploits. Unfortunately, conflict did break out. Nobody knows what the final straw was. It is said that it created the Pokemon Absol in its own image so that Absol could sense whenever another disaster would occur. In its emissary form, it has the ability Pressure, but when facing a Pokemon with a base stat total of 600 or higher, this Pokemon reveals its true form, its Revelation form. In this form, it has the unique ability Hysteria, which makes any Pokemon that saw it change forms go mad. The Pokemon will not be obedient anymore, as if you don't have enough badges to train it. Of course, this Pokemon, like all with its base stat total, isn't allowed in official battles. I hope you understand that this Pokemon is supposed to look uncanny and weird, unlike any Pokemon. Its rings spin super quickly and the body in the middle vibrates so intensely that it appears blurry. It's scary to look at it when animated. Say hello to Crocosmic, the infinite Pokemon. This Pokemon floated through the clouds in ancient times, consuming all in its path. Its stomach is infinite and breaks apart atoms and molecules in order to create new elements and chemicals. The easiest molecule this Pokemon can create and decompose is water. Water is this Pokemon's most common byproduct. In the past, this Pokemon would bring water to land suffering from drought. It would telekinetically cause the rivers of Asone to overflow with nutrients that nourished crops. It was worshipped in ancient Asone and would be offered rare minerals on the highest of altars for Crocosmic to swoop down and consume. Thousands of years ago, this Pokemon went on a hysterical rampage and flooded the region of Asone. Once it came back to its senses, it telekinetically lowered the tides, forming Asone's modern landscape, and then secluded itself in shame. Various Asonian landmarks were made as a result of this Pokemon's flood, like a submerged ancient city and a salt-filled sea where all the salt from the flood accumulated once the water receded. It has a new ability called Assimilation, which boosts its special attack stat when hit with a special move, since it just consumes and reassembles these elements. Its hidden ability is the power of alchemy. Nomadifice, the structure Pokemon. From the words nomad and edifice, a large imposing building. These colossal Pokemon roamed ancient Asone in herds. Many Pokemon would take refuge in their crevices and cliffs, eating the plants that grew on them, receiving shade and even drinking the water that pooled on its back. Ancient Asonians revered this Pokemon's generosity and felt it appropriate to make this Pokemon useful even after its life has ended. It is speculated that the skeletons of these Pokemon were used as the structure of pyramids found in Asone. The numbers of Nomadifice slowly diminished over thousands of years. It is thought that their size could not be sustained, especially with their oddly shaped bones. Ancient Nomadifice were 7 times larger than their living descendants. They used to be 450 feet tall. They have this new ability called Giant Scale. It's basically their version of Multiscale, so since their scales are huge, the damage they take when their HP is full is halved. Here is Makog, the invading Pokemon. Makog is a combo of Macaque and Magog, but also has a cog, a piece of machine in his name, as a reference to his metal parts. The other invading Pokemon, Babog, is Baboon and Gog. It used to be Bog as well, back when I thought of making it a ground type. Babog is more expressive and can expand and contract the mineral armor on its body. It can break off its tail and use it as a spear, instantly growing another tail. Makog is very stoic and his tail is exceptionally long. In battle, it holds it like an axe. They're both rather intelligent and knowledgeable in combat. They tend to stay away from humans. These two sibling Pokemon would roam Asone in ancient times, training and challenging strong Pokemon. If they succeeded in battle, they would plunder the resources of their foe and give it to Pokemon that inhabited their domain. Makog would bring precious metals to its icy home, and Babog would bring back food to its arid environment. Thousands of years ago, when Pokemon and humans were at odds, these Pokemon went hysterical and began to attack humans, alongside many other Pokemon. However, another legendary Pokemon, who seemed to be unfazed by the hysteria, was able to defend humans from Babog and Makog's rampage. After this event, these two went into hiding. They both have the ability Battle Armor and the hidden ability Defiant. Alexano, the reinforcement Pokemon, a fighting fairy type. Its name comes from Alexander, which comes from the Greek Alexandros, which comes from the words to ward off, defend, and protect men, and Xeno, a prefix for foreigner, since this Pokemon is basically a foreign Pokemon that came to the aid of the humans of Asone. This Pokemon has the ability to reinforce any object with its roar, controlling the density of armor and even bodies. While it was unable to solely end the ancient wars, it would roam around Asone using its fairy magic to strengthen the shields and armor of brave warriors. It can create barriers and force fields that repel moves and abilities. During the hysteria, when Babog and Makog attacked Asone's central city, this Pokemon reinforced the city's walls and fought back the hysterical giants. These walls stayed unbreakable till modern times. Alexano's armor is actually hardened fur. Its horns are indestructible. No substance can scratch them. It has the ability Stamina and the hidden ability Mold Breaker, implying that the Alexano that withstood hysteria has its hidden ability. It has a new signature move called Reinforcing Roar, which boosts the defense and special defense of the user and its ally in battle. The Glass Child Pokemon, Adolescent. The translucent adolescent. That just means he's a kid with light shining through him. In fact, he can learn almost all light-based moves like Dazzling Gleam, Luster Purge, Flash Cannon. Its special attack actually gets a boost when it's holding one of its glass creations. It's actually another legendary Pokemon since it's timid, but super friendly when it can sense how kind you are. It loves giving glass sculptures as presents. Its ability is Clear Body and a new ability called Light Flare. Since it's very refractive, sometimes light shines through it and blinds the opponent, so physical moves have a slight chance of missing. And there it is, the mythical Pokemon, Cometa, from Comet and Meta, meaning beyond, a rock psychic type. I think I've resolved to make it a separate species. It's not an evolution of Minior, but rather a super rare and ancient mutation of Minior. It has the power to summon meteors and can move at the speed of one. It flies through space looking for missions. In ancient times, this Pokemon would protect the Earth from any meteor. It was worshipped by a few ancient cultures, but at one point, this Pokemon became hysterical for a short period and accidentally unleashed a giant meteor that made a few species of Pokemon go extinct. In shame, it exiled itself and hasn't returned to Earth. It is said that it will only come back when the Earth needs it most. This Pokemon seeks redemption for its ex. It is also said that it sends Miniors as peace offerings. It wants to brighten up the night with the spectacle of falling Minior. Minior in space hold it in high regard and still treat it with respect. They offer up the most valuable space dust for Cometa to consume, so it's constantly changing colors. Here's its shiny. This Pokemon has a new ability called Asteroid Power, which boosts the power of all cosmically named moves, like Draco Meteor or its signature move, Comet Clobber, a base 90 rock move with 90% accuracy that sets up Stealth Rock if the move misses. It's both a physical and special move because it hits with the meteors that it summons and himself.
Dracosmic, the containment Pokemon. This Pokemon is said to have an infinite amount of space inside its belly. It can consume and release all sorts of energy. It was formed in space and came to Earth to absorb the most precious form of life-sustaining energy, love. Aww.
And if you loved this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you know when tomorrow's video comes out, detailing the post-game of Asone. Click the Asone Region playlist to get caught up on the characters, map of the region, and the existing 2 videos on the plot, and check the description for the t-shirts I made for you guys, my social media like my Twitter and Instagram, where I post full art of these Pokemon. Maybe even consider becoming a patron or a YouTube member. I'll see you guys tomorrow.